And what I feel wrong, if I keep my mouth shut, the triumph of evil over good is when the so-called good man keeps quiet. And we all are fence sitters. We do not want to open our mouth anywhere.
So you have any hopes of your letter being converted into a...
I will try. I believe in trying. Yeah. In the third week of January, order or ruling, what we call, has been passed by the High Court at Bombay, in which they have said that unless a child is disrobed means unless you open the child's clothing, it cannot be considered sexual assault. Now, sexual assault is section 7 of the POCSO Act. POCSO means Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. And this does not apply only to girl children, but it also applies to boy children. Now, when he says disrobe, when the judge says disrobe, I think it is bad precedent in law. Because the act clearly states, and I have produced the extract for you, sexual assault and punishment thereof. Whoever with sexual intent touches vagina, penis, anus or breast of the child, or makes the child touch the vagina, penis, anus or breast of such person or any other person, or does any other act with a sexual intent which involves physical contact without penetration is said to commit sexual assault. Now, I think the judge has erred somewhere, and this is going to create a bad precedent, because the protection that is deemed to be given to a child, boy child or girl child, will be affected, and in which case the POCSO Act becomes redundant, gives no protection. Now look at section 7 of the POCSO Act. I've also written it there that physical touching is bad, though we are not saying that a child the clothes should be on or off. That is the spirit of the law. It is understood that whether the clothes are on or off, you can't touch certain parts of the body of any child. And that has to be respected and mandated. And we must also remember that the POCSO Act clearly means about physical touching, although there is no definition of physical touching or whether it is skin to skin. The High Court has interpreted its touching through clothes. It is clearly from the objective of the Act that groping would be included in section 7. The intention of the Act is clear from its objective of protecting best interest of the child. And the best interest of the child should not be considered as clothes on or off. Now I think that this is a mistake, and I think I'm going to write a letter to the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, to the Prime Minister of India, and to all those who say Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao. And in this we include our betas also. In this Act, POCSO Act, we have included our betas also. Now the girl child can get relief from certain provisions of the IPC. She can get, but what about the boy child? There's no provision for him anywhere. So therefore I am going to write a letter to clear my point that this is a wrong precedent of the High Court movement. And it will set a bad example. Measures in place to ensure that there is no dual registration of marriage, dual or more registration of marriage. At least an affidavit. But I'm also asking for police verification now from that locality. See, in Darbandara, he's from Darbandara. He has registered 2 marriages in the same place, in the same registry, and within 2 or 3 years of each other.
No, affidavits can bind them.
Affidavit can bind them, but my whole issue is, why are we making our poor women fight in court when they don't have a tie to their credit? Why? I would like to say that we women are proud that in Goa whether you're a Hindu, Muslim or a Catholic, you register your marriage. And that registration of marriage protects your conjugal and your other marital rights. Right to property, right to children, right to everything comes with that registration of marriage. Now we have come across cases, and this is not new. This is not new. I brought it to the notice of the authorities several times in the past that there is registration of marriage by one man with two or more women. With two or more women. And I have brought on record the numbers, the registration numbers also. Now in one case, a man has registered his marriage in Darbandara, Ponda, to two women in the same sub-registrar. My question is, how is it that the sub-registrar, maybe it was a different sub-registrar at either times, but how is it that it went unnoticed that this man has already a registered marriage? Is it corruption on the part of the man, married bridegroom, married fresh bridegroom, or is it a corruption on the part of the authorities? And if it is a corruption on either party, then action has to be initiated. We cannot just sit silent spectators to the commission of offences in this beautiful state which talks about protection to women and children. Double marriage registration affects not only the conjugal rights, the financial rights, the property rights, the what have you of a woman to her husband. But I'm not just talking about the first wife, I'm talking about both the women. Both the women are victims in one way or the other. Because if the first wife goes and produces her papers as a married woman, then she loses her rights by default. So why should this be? Why should there be no prohibition on registering of a marriage twice or more times? This is duping, cheating, fraud, both on the women as well as on the state. Because it's the state registrar that is central. And there should be a verification of registration of marriages, the status of the man, and today I'm demanding that there should be a police verification on the status of the man. Now this will affect the online marriage registration that we are so talking about happily. Somebody from abroad is going to file for registration of his marriage. What is the way, the checks and measures to know whether he has a wife and children abroad? So what is the safety of the woman with whom he is going to conduct a marriage here? And in the same way, what is the safety of the woman abroad? I'm not just talking about one woman. I'm talking about all the men affected by this indiscriminate, illegal act of the male. And therefore, I have written letters in October. I have received no reply. And what I'd like to say from this forum is that why is there no reply to a genuine complaint? What have you done? I have right to know what you have done. Why have you not told me what you have done? Why should I waste my pen and paper and my knowledge to get info? Why should I apply on the right to information? Why should anybody be made to do that? When there is you are duty bound to reply to a question. You are duty bound. Now, I have dashed off a letter in October that got no reply. I dashed off a letter, same letter for the first marriage in January, no reply. Now I have sent letters for the second set of double registration. I have sent a letter to the Chief Minister of Goa. I have sent a letter to the Chief Secretary of Goa. I have sent a letter to the Honorable Minister of Women and Child Development. I have sent a letter to the notary, to the Registrar, Goa State. And I want them to tell me what they have done about this and how they are going to put checks and measures in place to check that no man will come here and register a marriage without proving that he is genuinely free to marry. Free to marry means his status should be unmarried or divorcee. Both. Divorcee also will do. If you are divorced, you can marry another time. That's no offense.